These 12 household essentials may not be fully restocked until 2027 if supply chain pressure continues. The surprising part is that most of them are already sitting in your own home. And because they're so familiar, very few people realize they're quietly becoming some of the hardest everyday items to replace on store shelves. Most people don't panic until they see empty shelves, but by then, it's already too late. The real concern isn't that a store runs out of something for a day. It's that many essential household items can take months to be fully restocked because raw materials, manufacturing, and shipping are all still under pressure. Today, we're going to look at 12 household essentials that many retail experts believe could become some of the hardest items to buy if this situation continues. And the farther we go down the list, the more surprising it becomes. Because the number one item is something almost every family uses every single day. Number 12, toilet paper. If you had to pick one household item with the longest history of disappearing from store shelves, the fastest in America, it wouldn't be food, and it wouldn't be bottled water. It would be toilet paper. The surprising part is that every time it happens, the reason usually isn't that America has run out of toilet paper. It's that the supply chain simply can't move as fast as consumer fear. In just the first few days of 2020, the toilet paper aisles at Walmart, Costco, and Target were almost completely wiped out. What many people don't realize is that toilet paper is almost never stockpiled in massive quantities. Not because manufacturers don't want to, but because it's one of the bulkiest products on supermarket shelves. A truck can be filled to capacity very quickly, yet the value of the cargo remains relatively low, making storage and transportation costs consistently high. Most of the toilet paper you see on store shelves today was manufactured and distributed not very long ago. To make a single roll of toilet paper, wood has to be processed into pulp, then go through grinding, pressing, drying, rolling, cutting, packaging, and shipping. Most mills already operate close to full capacity under normal conditions. So when demand suddenly surges, they have almost no ability to increase production overnight. This isn't the limitation of one factory, it's the limitation of the entire system. What causes shelves to empty the fastest isn't lower production. It's herd behavior. When millions of households each buy just 2 or 3 extra packs, available inventory disappears very quickly. That's why toilet paper has always been considered one of the most sensitive household items whenever the supply chain comes under pressure. Right now, a 12 to 18 roll pack typically costs around $12 to $20. The biggest mistake is focusing only on the number of rolls. Many manufacturers have quietly reduced the length of each roll or the sheet count, while keeping the packaging almost unchanged. That's why it's much smarter to compare the total number of feet of paper and the cost per unit of use, instead of looking only at the words mega roll. If your family uses toilet paper every day, keeping about a 1 to 2 month supply at home makes far more sense than waiting until the shelves start emptying before buying more. And interestingly, the next item also begins with paper pulp. But this time, when it disappears, the first place you'll feel the impact won't be your bathroom. It'll be your entire kitchen. Number 11, paper towels. If toilet paper is the first item that sends people into a panic, paper towels disappear in a much more dangerous way. There's no rush to grab them, no shopping carts piled high. They just quietly become less and less available until one day you realize the brand you've always bought is simply gone. What many people don't realize is that paper towels aren't just thicker paper. To absorb grease without falling apart, soak up water while holding their structure, and stay durable during use, they require stronger cellulose fibers, a denser pressing process, and more manufacturing steps than toilet paper. That means they consume more pulp, more energy, and cost more to produce. As soon as the price of pulp, electricity, or transportation rises, paper towels are often one of the first product categories to come under pressure. The problem isn't always that they're completely sold out. The bigger problem is that the shelves are still stocked, but your choices disappear. Some supermarkets may still have paper towels, but not the brand, size, roll count, or price your family is used to buying. That's a sign retailers are cutting back on SKUs to reduce storage costs and simplify their supply chains. From a distance, the shelves still look full, but for people actually shopping, the choices have become much more limited. Paper towels are also one of the most versatile items in the kitchen. They absorb grease after frying, dry vegetables, pat moisture off meat before cooking, so it browns more evenly, wipe down countertops, clean up spilled liquids, line food storage containers to absorb excess moisture, and wrap leafy greens to keep them fresh for a few extra days. Because they're used for so many small, everyday tasks, many families don't realize how valuable they are until the last roll is gone. Right now, a pack of 6 to 12 rolls typically costs around $8 to $18. But the most common mistake is looking only at the number of rolls printed on the package. Over the years, many manufacturers have quietly reduced the sheet count, shortened the length of each roll, or made the rolls appear larger by using bigger cardboard cores. You may think you're buying the same package you bought last year, when in reality, you're paying more money for less paper. What you should compare isn't the price per pack, but the total sheet count, the total paper area, and the cost per square foot. If your family cooks regularly, keeping about a 1 to 2 month supply on hand is a practical choice and takes up very little space when stored in a dry place. But the next item on the list is even more sensitive to production costs. It no longer depends on paper pulp. It depends on aluminum, a material whose shelf price can change almost immediately whenever energy costs, tariffs, or transportation costs shift. Number 10. Aluminum foil. You open the oven, your food is fully cooked, but the top is browning much faster than expected. You pull open the kitchen drawer to grab some aluminum foil, and the last roll is gone. That's the moment many people realize that one small roll of foil has quietly been part of their kitchen hundreds of times without them ever noticing. It only gets your attention once it's gone. What's interesting is that the price of a roll of aluminum foil isn't determined at the supermarket. It's determined by aluminum smelters thousands of miles away that consume enormous amounts of electricity. Very few people realize that aluminum production is one of the most energy-intensive industrial processes in the world. Bauxite ore has to be refined into alumina, then processed through electrolysis at extremely high temperatures to produce pure aluminum before it's rolled into sheets, only a tiny fraction of a millimeter thick. That means the moment electricity prices or energy costs rise, the cost of a roll of aluminum foil comes under pressure too. That's also why aluminum foil is affected by the supply chain very differently from paper or plastic. Instead of raw material shortages, this industry is usually impacted by electricity prices, metal processing costs, transportation, and packaging expenses. In recent years, many retailers have stopped putting aluminum foil on sale as often as they used to. Some brands have quietly shortened the roll length, reduced the total number of feet, or kept only their best-selling sizes to lower storage costs. The shelves still have products on them, but consumers have fewer and fewer choices. Aluminum foil is also one of the most versatile tools in the kitchen. It keeps food warm after cooking, wraps food before freezing, lines baking pans to make cleanup easier, shields parts of food that brown too quickly in the oven, wraps vegetables or potatoes before baking, and helps reduce moisture loss during cooking. A single roll of aluminum foil can replace many types of disposable paper or trays in countless everyday cooking situations. Right now, a standard roll of aluminum foil typically costs around $4 to $8, while the heavy-duty version usually costs more, but is also significantly more durable. The most common mistake is looking only at the price. What really matters is comparing the total number of feet, the thickness, and the tear resistance, because foil that's too thin often requires multiple layers and ends up costing more in the long run. If your family cooks regularly, keeping 2 rolls of a good quality brand stored in a dry place is a much smarter choice than waiting until you need it before buying one. If aluminum foil is a story about electricity and the aluminum industry, then the next item is a story about petroleum. It's found in almost every kitchen across America. It isn't expensive. But once the supply chain starts tightening, many people suddenly realize they've been using it several times a day without ever thinking about it. Number 9. Ziploc bags. You can open and close a Ziploc bag hundreds of times without ever thinking about how it's made. That's also why so many people see it as just another plastic bag. But in reality, the hardest part to manufacture isn't the plastic itself. It's the tiny zipper seal that's only a few millimeters wide across the top. To make sure the 2 sides of the zipper lock together perfectly every time you open and close it, manufacturers have to maintain extremely tight precision during the molding process. Even the slightest variation can prevent the bag from sealing properly. After that, every bag still has to go through cutting, heat sealing, leak testing, and packaging before it reaches distribution centers. It looks like a simple little bag, but behind it is an entire production chain that depends on plastic resin, precision molds, packaging, and transportation. That's also why Ziploc bags are affected fairly quickly whenever oil prices or plastic resin costs increase. In recent years, many retailers haven't seen entire shelves go empty like they once did, but they have started reducing the number of available sizes, cutting back on SKUs, or changing the number of bags in each box. Shoppers still see the familiar box on the shelf, but inside there may be fewer bags or smaller capacities. It's a form of shrinkflation that many people don't notice until they actually start using them. What makes Ziploc bags so valuable is how many different jobs they can do. They help store food in the refrigerator and freezer, marinate meat, portion meals, carry snacks, protect documents or electronic devices from moisture, and organize small household items. A single box of bags can replace many different containers or disposable packaging options. Right now, a box of Ziploc bags typically costs around $4 to $10. The most common mistake is looking only at the price. What you should compare is the thickness of the bag, the quality of the zipper seal, and the cost per bag, because more durable bags can often be reused many times. But if Ziploc bags are a story about the zipper seal, then the next item is a story about a thin layer of plastic film that comes into direct contact with your food every single day. Number 8. Plastic wrap. There's an interesting paradox in the kitchen. The thinnest item is often the one that helps you save the most food. A layer of plastic wrap that's only a few microns thick can keep vegetables, fruit, meat, and leftovers fresh for several extra days. But because it's so inexpensive and so familiar, most people have never considered that it could also become one of the household items most affected by supply chain pressure. What many people don't realize is that a roll of plastic wrap isn't just a sheet of plastic wound onto a roll. It's made from food-grade polymers such as polyethylene or PVC, then goes through melting, stretching into an ultra-thin film, precise thickness control, adhesion testing, tear resistance processing, and finally rolling, cutting, packaging, and shipping. Even a small change in the quality of the plastic resin can make the entire roll cling less effectively, tear more easily, or lose its flexibility. That's also why this product has been affected by multiple pressures at the same time in 2026. Crude oil prices, petrochemical feedstocks, plastic resin, manufacturing electricity costs, cardboard packaging, and logistics expenses. What's especially noteworthy is that manufacturers usually don't raise prices right away. They choose a quieter approach, shorter rolls, thinner film, or fewer feet while keeping the box almost exactly the same size. Consumers can hardly notice the difference just by looking at it, but each time they use it, they end up pulling out more than before. This is one of the clearest examples of shrinkflation. The value of plastic wrap goes far beyond covering a bowl. It helps keep food from drying out, reduces exposure to air, preserves the freshness of vegetables, stores cut fruit, covers leftovers in the refrigerator, helps marinate meat, prepares meals several days in advance, and significantly reduces the amount of food that gets thrown away because it's spoiled. In other words, a roll of plastic wrap that costs just a few dollars can save you many times that amount in food. Right now, a typical roll of plastic wrap in the United States usually costs around $4 to $8. If plastic and transportation costs continue to rise, seeing prices reach $6 to $10 won't be surprising. The most common mistake is looking only at the price while forgetting to check the total number of feet on the roll. Choose one with a sturdy cutting edge, good cling, and compare the price based on usable length. For a household of 2 to 4 people, keeping 2 or 3 rolls in a dry place is enough to rotate through for a long period of time. But the next item is even more familiar, because every single day it quietly helps keep your kitchen clean after every meal. Number 7. Trash bags. You'll realize the true value of a trash bag not when you're throwing something away, but on the day you run out. After just a day or two, trash starts piling up in the kitchen, unpleasant odors spread throughout the house, and everyday tasks suddenly become much more difficult. What's surprising is that one of the least expensive items in the supermarket plays one of the most important roles in keeping an entire household clean and sanitary. Every year, Americans use tens of billions of trash bags, and most of them are made from high-density polyethylene, HDPE, or low-density polyethylene, LDPE. What many people don't realize is that the strength of a trash bag isn't determined by its thickness. It's determined by the resin blend, the multi-layer construction, and the quality of the heat seal at the bottom of the bag. 2 bags that look almost identical can have completely different load capacities. That's why the cheaper option can sometimes cost more, because it takes 2 or 3 bags to hold the same amount of trash. The trash bag supply chain also comes under pressure in its own unique way. The plastic resin comes from the petrochemical industry, then goes through film blowing, cutting, heat sealing, rolling, and packaging before being shipped to distribution centers. When oil prices, transportation costs, or plastic resin prices increase, retailers usually don't leave the shelves empty. Instead, they reduce the number of available sizes, cut back on promotional sales, or change product sizes. This is a trend that has become increasingly common throughout 2025 and 2026. What makes trash bags so valuable is that they serve far more purposes than most people realize. Besides collecting household waste, they help separate recyclables, protect clothing during a move, cover furniture from dust and moisture, line outdoor garbage cans, wrap luggage in rainy weather, and even hold emergency supplies during an evacuation. A single box of trash bags can solve dozens of different everyday problems. Right now, A box of good quality trash bags typically costs around $8 to $18. The most common mistake is looking only at the price of the entire box. What you should compare is the load capacity, the number of bags, and the cost per use. Because one durable bag is often much more economical than using two thin ones. For a household of 2 to 4 people, keeping 2 boxes in different sizes and storing them in a dry place away from direct sunlight is a practical choice. But even trash bags aren't the household item most vulnerable to supply chain disruptions. The next one is much smaller, sits in drawers all across America, and is only truly remembered when the flashlight, the TV remote, and the emergency radio all stop working at the same time. Number 6. AA/AAA batteries. Whenever a hurricane, major snowstorm, or the threat of a power outage is approaching, there's one product that almost always disappears from supermarket shelves before many other essentials. It's not food, and it's not bottled water. It's those small AA and AAA batteries. They rarely get a second thought on an ordinary day, but they quickly become one of the first things families look for when the power is no longer reliable. What many people don't realize is that a single battery depends on a much more complex global supply chain than most people imagine. Depending on the type of battery, the manufacturing process requires zinc, manganese, graphite, lithium, and many other specialized materials. After these materials are refined, they still have to go through electrode production, assembly, safety testing, packaging, and shipping. If either the raw material supply or logistics network is disrupted, pressure on battery supplies can build very quickly. That's also why demand for batteries usually surges before storm season. As people prepare flashlights, emergency radios, blood pressure monitors, and emergency kits, AA and AAA batteries are almost always purchased at the same time. What's especially noteworthy is that many stores don't run out of every type of battery. But these 2 common sizes are usually the first to sell out because they're used in the widest variety of devices. The value of batteries is far greater than their size would suggest. Just a few batteries can keep a flashlight running for hours, power a NOAA weather radio, operate TV remotes, wireless computer mice, digital thermometers, blood glucose meters, blood pressure monitors, and dozens of other household devices. What you're really buying isn't just electricity. You're buying the ability to use your most important devices when the outlets in your walls stop working. Right now, a pack of good quality AA or AAA batteries typically costs around $8 to $20. The most common mistake is waiting until your device is already warned that the batteries are dead. Choose brands with shelf lives of 10 to 12 years, store them in a dry place with a stable temperature, and keep 2 to 3 packs of AA batteries along with 1 to 2 packs of AAA batteries on hand for your household. But if batteries keep your devices running, the next item helps your entire family maintain something even more essential: clean clothes. And behind a familiar bottle of laundry detergent is a chemical supply chain that's far more complex than most people have ever imagined. Number 5. Laundry detergent. A bottle of laundry detergent doesn't disappear from store shelves because Americans are doing more laundry. It comes under pressure because nearly every part of it faces challenges at the same time. The chemicals inside, the plastic bottle on the outside, the cap, the printed label, and the cost of shipping a heavy product across the United States. You may think you're buying the same bottle you bought last year, but there's a good chance you're paying more money for fewer loads. Behind a bottle of laundry detergent is an entire network of industrial raw materials. To remove grease, sweat, and stains, manufacturers have to combine surfactants, enzymes, fragrances, stabilizers, and preservatives The finished formula is then filled into an HDPE plastic bottle, sealed with a cap, labeled, stacked on pallets, and shipped to thousands of stores. When the cost of chemicals, plastic resin, electricity, or fuel goes up, the entire bottle comes under pressure. The problem isn't always empty shelves. The bigger concern is that the bottle you're used to buying slowly disappears. Some sizes are discontinued. Some scents are no longer available. Some family-size versions go on sale less often, and many bottles look almost identical on the outside. But the number of loads listed on the label has gone down. This is shrinkflation at its most frustrating. You don't lose the product all at once. You lose it one load at a time. Laundry detergent doesn't just clean clothes. It keeps towels from developing odors, cleans bed sheets, washes work clothes, athletic gear, children's clothing, seniors' clothing, and removes stubborn grease stains. When you run out of laundry detergent, the problem isn't just wearing dirty clothes. It's household odors, personal hygiene, and the disruption of your family's normal routine. Right now, a typical bottle of laundry detergent usually costs around $10 to $20. The biggest mistake is looking only at the number of fluid ounces. What really matters is the number of loads listed on the label and the cost per load. If your family does laundry regularly, keeping 1 or 2 extra bottles on hand is a sensible choice. But the next item touches on something even more sensitive: dishes, grease, bacteria, and the kitchen where your family eats every single day. Number 4. Dish soap. Dish soap is something every household uses every single day, and even a small price increase shows up immediately on the grocery bill. This isn't a secondary household product. It's directly tied to your dishes, grease, kitchen hygiene, and your family's everyday routine. Behind a bottle of dish soap is a supply chain that includes surfactants, thickeners, preservatives, fragrances, food-grade colorants, HDPE plastic bottles, caps, printed labels, and transportation. Surfactants are the most important ingredient because they break down grease that water alone can't wash away. When the cost of chemicals, plastic resin, electricity, or fuel increases, the entire bottle of dish soap comes under pressure. In 2026, that pressure may not show up as empty shelves. It usually appears in quieter ways: smaller bottles, more diluted formulas, fewer promotions, or large refill sizes becoming harder to find. Consumers still see the same familiar brand, but the actual number of uses may already have gone down. Right now, a typical bottle of dish soap in the United States usually costs around $3 to $5. If raw material and packaging costs continue to rise, seeing prices reach $5 to $7 won't be unusual. The most common mistake is using too much with each wash or looking only at the bottle price instead of comparing the cost per ounce. Choose a concentrated formula, a bottle with a secure cap. Buy refill sizes when they're on sale, and avoid storing the bottle in excessively hot places. For a household of 2 to 4 people, keeping 2 large bottles or 1 bottle in use along with 1 refill bottle is a practical choice. Number 3. Wet wipes. During a crisis, most people think the first thing they need to stock up on is drinking water. But after just 48 hours without reliable water, another problem starts to surface very quickly: personal hygiene. That's when an ordinary pack of wet wipes can become more sought after than many expensive items. Wet wipes are much more than simply wet paper. Most wet wipes are made from non-woven fabric that combines cellulose, synthetic fibers, cleaning solution, moisturizers, preservatives, multi-layer packaging, and a plastic lid. The fiber structure inside helps hold the cleaning solution between the layers of wipes. But if the packaging doesn't seal properly, is stored in excessive heat, or is opened and closed too many times, the moisture gradually evaporates. leaving the entire pack almost useless. That's exactly why wet wipes are especially vulnerable to supply chain pressure in 2026. They don't depend on just one industry. They depend on many at the same time. Paper pulp, plastics, petrochemicals, non-woven fabrics, flexible packaging, preservatives, and transportation. When raw material costs rise, manufacturers usually don't raise prices immediately. They do something more subtle. Fewer wipes per pack, thinner wipes, weaker lids, or less cleaning solution. Shoppers think they're paying the same price, but they're actually getting less value. Right now, a family-size pack of wet wipes typically costs around $3 to $6. If pressure on raw materials and packaging continues to increase, seeing that same product cost $5 to $8 won't be far-fetched. Unscented versions, wipes for sensitive skin, or thicker varieties can cost even more. The real value of wet wipes is their versatility. They clean your hands when water isn't available, help care for someone who's sick, assist older adults, wipe down small surfaces, clean personal items, and are useful while traveling, camping, during power outages, or in homes with young children. The biggest mistake is buying the cheapest option, choosing heavily scented wipes, or using flushable wipes and flushing them down the toilet, where they can cause clogs. Choose unscented wipes with a sturdy flip-top lid, medium thickness wipes, well-sealed packaging, and a long shelf life. A two-person household should keep about 6 to 10 packs in rotation. But the next item is even more noteworthy because it's sitting in the bathroom of almost every household, and its supply chain is far more complex than most people realize. Number 2. Toothpaste. Toothpaste is one of those products that almost no one ever imagines disappearing. It's small, inexpensive, sits at the end of the supermarket aisle, and usually isn't remembered until the old tube is almost empty. But the most familiar household items are often the ones people take for granted the most. If someone brushes their teeth twice a day, they'll use toothpaste more than 700 times a year. For older adults, this is no longer just about fresh breath. It's directly connected to healthy gums, tooth enamel, dentures, tooth sensitivity, and dental bills that can cost far more than a few extra tubes of toothpaste. A tube of toothpaste looks simple, but behind it is an entire supply chain. Silica helps remove plaque. Fluoride helps protect tooth enamel. Glycerin keeps the paste from drying out. Foaming agents, flavorings, stabilizers, and preservatives allow the product to remain usable for months. On the outside, there's a multi-layer plastic tube, sometimes combined with aluminum, along with a cardboard box, a plastic cap, and a protective seal. The problem is that many of those components depend on chemicals, plastics, packaging, mining, and international transportation. In 2026, the pressure doesn't necessarily show up as empty store shelves. It may appear much more quietly. Smaller tubes, fewer promotions, less attractive multi-packs, or specialized formulas for sensitive teeth becoming significantly more expensive. Right now, a typical tube of toothpaste in the United States usually costs around $2 to $5. If packaging, chemical, and logistics costs continue to rise, seeing prices reach $4 to $7 won't be unusual. The most common mistake is buying only the cheapest option, failing to check whether it contains fluoride, or buying too many tubes at once and letting them sit for too long. Choose a toothpaste with fluoride. Make sure the packaging is unopened. Check for a long expiration date and compare prices by the ounce. Keeping 4 to 6 tubes per person in rotation is a practical approach. But the number one item on this list is even more important, because when it becomes hard to find, the problem is no longer hygiene. It's clean water. Number 1. Water filter. In an emergency, water may still be available, but water that's safe enough to use is what truly becomes valuable. According to FEMA's recommendations, every person should have at least 1 gallon of water per day for drinking and basic hygiene. But very few people stop to think that if their stored water begins to run low, or they have to rely on an alternative water source, a water filter becomes the last line of defense between their family and risks that can't be seen with the naked eye. Behind a small filter cartridge is an entire complex manufacturing chain. Activated carbon has to be processed at extremely high temperatures to create millions of microscopic pores that absorb impurities. Many filters also use hollow fiber membranes, microfiltration materials, food-grade plastics, sealing gaskets, and go through multiple rounds of quality testing before leaving the factory. The moment the cost of activated carbon, engineering plastics, energy, or transportation increases, the entire production cost comes under pressure. Right now, a typical household water filter system usually costs around $25 to $60, while replacement cartridges range from about $15 to $40. If raw material costs continue to rise throughout 2026, replacement filters are likely to increase in price even before the filtration systems themselves. The biggest mistake is buying a water filter without keeping replacement cartridges on hand. Choose a product with recognized quality certifications, replacement filters that are easy to find, and keep at least 1 extra new cartridge in reserve, because by the time everyone is looking for clean water at once, the scarcest thing is no longer the water itself. It's the ability to turn that water into something you can safely use. By now, you've probably noticed something. The items most likely to become difficult to buy aren't usually the expensive ones. They're the everyday products we use all the time and simply assume will always be waiting on the shelf. When the supply chain comes under pressure, the changes usually happen very quietly. Higher prices, smaller sizes, fewer choices, or products being out of stock at the exact moment you need them most. Being prepared doesn't mean panic buying. It means shopping smarter, rotating your supplies wisely, and staying one step ahead before the market changes. Now I'd really like to hear from you. Out of the 12 household items we covered today, which one have you already noticed becoming more expensive or harder to find where you live? Share your experience in the comments so everyone can learn from it.